And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at a little bit of a differently themed game. We're going to take a look at Ladies and Gentlemen, which is a game that plays anywhere from 4 to 10 players, supposedly. Now, more on that later. And in this game, each pair of people, each team of people, is going to be playing a lady and a gentleman who are trying to outfit the lady for a ball, and whoever has the most elegant outfit is going to be the winner. And each person on the team will have a different role to play in this goal. So real quick, why don't we take a look at how this short game plays. It's supposed to play in a half an hour. We'll see what the components are like, and then we'll come back here and we'll get my final opinions on Ladies and Gentlemen. So here you can see the components for Ladies and Gentlemen. Now we're working in pairs here, so we have 3 teams. Each team will have a lady player and a gentleman player. Now it doesn't have to be men and women, but each player will have one player representing a lady and one player representing a gentleman. You can also see in the center of the table here we have 3 stores on this side. So we have Spencer here, and this is the pink player store. We have the second store here for this green player and the third store for the yellowish-green player. So on this side, it's going to be a store. On the other side, we're going to have some type of financial firm. So King Bank. That's going to be basically important for the male player. Now, the names aren't really important. Just know that each player kind of corresponds to one of these for the ladies. For the gentlemen, it's not so important. Now, the game is divided into 6 turns and 3 phases in each of these 6 turns, morning, afternoon, and night. And ladies will be doing one thing in each of these phases, while the gentlemen will be doing another. In the beginning phase, or the morning phase, each lady is going to have cards. And you're going to see that there are 4 of these cards here that are called, I don't know the name of them, but they're cards that you're going to be choosing and placing out onto the table to show what your store is going to be selling. So your store could be selling dresses or clothing. It could be selling accessories, or this one's another clothing. So this one got dealt 3 clothing cards. But in the first phase, she's going to choose one of these cards, and she's going to place it face down by her boutique. So you'll see that she'll choose one. This player here will choose what her boutique's going to sell, so it could be accessories, or she could be selling jewelry, whatever the case is. But she chooses one and places it face down. And the third player would do the same thing, choosing one card to place face down. And that will be what their boutiques sell. At the same time, the men over here are going to be doing something. Each man is going to be trying to collect resources from this pile of resources here. There are different resources in the game, and the market card will tell you what they're worth. This changes every game, but you'll see that this little flowery thing here, or cotton I guess it might be, is worth 300, and the gems are 200, and whatever this is 100, and each of the other things is 100, and the gold bars are worth 100, but they're kind of a wild resource as well. So they're going to be going through here, and one-handed they're going to be flipping these tokens up and looking at them, trying to find resources that they want. Now the reason they want these resources is that there's contracts out that they can fulfill in order to get money. So this one requires a coal and 2 cotton for $600. And the first person to satisfy it can choose to either take a bonus $300 or 1 bonus elegance, which is the point of the game. The ladies of the game are trying to buy outfits from their boutiques in order to wear to a ball that'll be the most elegant outfit. So they need the most elegant dress and a hat and some jewelry and a brooch, and whatever the case may be, they want the best stuff. So while the women are setting up and choosing what their stores are going to sell, and they'll show these cards off, each one of them is going to show what they're going to sell, the men are going to be flipping these tokens over, trying to find the best resources to sell either to the market for the prices they have, or to fulfill contracts in order to get the prices. And they can choose 3 of these, taking them, looking at them, and either taking it, placing it face up in their area, or putting it back and flipping another token, looking for something better. In addition, there are going to be 3 turn order tokens in here, and you're going to find one of these after you've found your 3 resources and take it, and then you'll be done. And you can choose to take one of these before you've taken 3 resources, but if you take a turn order token, you're done picking up resources. So while the women are doing that, the men are doing this, and they're flipping around and doing crazy stuff, and you have 3 different guys over here trying to pick up tokens, and it could be up to 5, so you have 5 people reaching for tokens, and it would get crazy. Now, on top of that, you can go ahead and you can, at the ladies, once they've shown off what they're going to do, they're going to take cards from the appropriate piles here. You'll see we have jewelry, and we have dresses and clothes, we have accessories, and we have servants. You can buy servants. Let's just not get into the ethics of that, but so this player here is going to take 4 dresses, and they're going to look through them and find the one they like the most, and they're going to put it on top. So maybe they think, ooh, this is a really nice dress. It's worth 4 elegance points. I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to display it, and that's the card that is available there. All of the cards are available, but that's the one I'm displaying. And the other players would do the same things for their types of things. So we'd have 2 jewelry stores here. At this point, each of the ladies has a little token that corresponds to each of the 3 boutiques. And they're going to choose one of these tokens to hide in their hand and decide where they want to go shopping based on the items are shown and the types of things that are being sold. That's great. They choose it. Each player chooses one, so maybe this one chooses Spencer, this one here chooses Emporium, and this one here also chooses Spencer. Great. After that, the morning is going to end. The men will have their resources, whatever they may be, and their turn order, and the women will have set up the stores and decided where they're going to go shopping. Beautiful. Now we move on to the afternoon. And during the afternoon, the women are going to be buying things from the shop based on where they chose to go. So this player here chose Spencer, and so did this one. But let's say that our player here, across with the man, got the first player turn order token. They get first choice of what they'd like to buy from this store. So in turn order, they're going to get to choose if they chose the same store. And they'll look and see, all right, wonderful, I could maybe buy this dress. I really want this dress. It's worth a lot of points. Now, you'll notice certain things about items. They have designers on the right-hand side. This one is JPG and LL, but there are other designers in the game. At the end of the game, you can only use items from 2 different designers, so you can't have more than 2 different designers amongst your clothing, or else you have to throw them away. So you need 2 different designers. You're trying to collect designers that are of the same type in order to make your outfit. So maybe she decides to take this and she sets it aside. And then she's going to pass this to the next player who can look at the other items and decide which one they want. Well, maybe they decide they want this one. And then, of course, it would go back to the first player who can decide to take another one or to simply put them back. And maybe they're done with them. She can pass them to the last player and she can check and see if she wants anything, but basically they're done. The other player who chose Emporium is going to get to look through the cards from Emporium, which were jewelry. So let's say there were 4 jewelry cards and one of them was on display. She can decide to take one, any, none, or all of the cards and place them into her own area. But basically, this is not buying them. You'll note that there are prices on these cards, but they're not buying them. They're simply picking out what they would like to buy. Now, the other player who had their area, Victoria here, no one chose their area. So they would have items on display, but no one would get to go through them. And this is important for the next phase. At the same time as the women are doing this, going through and buying stuff from the stores or picking stuff out to buy from the stores, the men are over here deciding what to do with their goods that they got. And in turn order, they can decide to sell them to the market for whatever the prices are, or they can decide to fulfill a contract. So you'd need 2 of the coal or whatever it is to fulfill this contract for $400. And as I said, the first person to do so gets the bonus printed on here, an additional $200. But other people can satisfy it after them. And they're going to add that money from the bank to their supply in order to be able to pay for things later. So now they've got their money, they're ready to go. In addition, some of these contracts, instead of taking the money bonus, you can decide to take the elegance bonus, or whatever the bonus is in the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, my apologies. That would be 1 elegance at the end of the game to their lady's outfit. So you can choose the money value or the bonus, whichever one you want, but basically that's what the men are going to be doing, selling off their resources. Any resources not sold are carried over to the next turn. After that, you're going to move on to the evening phase, and at this point, the ladies don't have much of a role. They're going to take all of the items that they've picked up from the stores, things that they're interested in buying, and they're going to hand them over to the men. And the men will decide whether or not they think the item is worth buying. So they'll look through these items in turn order, and they'll see, well, can I afford it first off? This costs $1,100. Maybe I don't think that this item's worth it. Maybe I don't have the money. Either way, I can decide to either pay for it or to throw it away, putting it back on the bottom of the deck. Or if I think it's worth it, but I can't afford it right now, I can pay $100 to carry it over to the next turn. But that $100 is lost. Essentially, you're putting it on a payment plan. You're paying $100, but you're not really getting anything for it except for the opportunity to buy it later. So basically, the men have all of the decision at this point as to whether or not the ladies can have their items. And they'll want to pay attention to the designers that are, of course, important to the lady and so forth and so on. The ladies do nothing during this phase except for hand everything over. At this point, whatever cards are bought will be given to the ladies. Whatever cards aren't bought will be returned or placed on the layaway for the next turn. And you'll, of course, start the next turn by reseeding everything. Each lady will pass their remaining choosing cards here to the player on their left, and that player will then have different cards in order to choose from as to what their area is going to sell. The cards that are in front of the boutiques do not go away. They continue to pile up as far as I can tell. The rules aren't beautifully written, so you'll have a lot more items to choose from round to round. Now, maybe they're supposed to clear, maybe not. I don't know, but basically the way we played it is that these cards continue to pile up, and there'll be more and more options throughout the game as to what you want to get. Honestly, I think it'd be more interesting if they cleared because you'd have a little less selection. These tokens in the center will replenish with up to 5 for each player, plus the turn order tokens, and you'll continue another round, until you get to the end of the game. At the end of the game, you're going to want to have different items. You're going to want to have a dress, and if you don't have a dress, you lose your best servant. Now, servants give you bonuses based on what you collect. So this one says if you have 4 cards, you get 1 extra elegance. If you have 7 cards, you get 3 extra elegance. Or another servant might say, for example, let's take a look and see if we can find some here. This one here, if you have 2 items from one designer, you get 1 extra elegance. If you have 4 items from that designer, you get 3 extra. So these will give you goals to get throughout the game in order to get extra elegance. But you're going to add up your dress plus your accessories. So maybe I have a 3-point dress from LL. And I happen to have some jewelry here worth 3 points that doesn't have a designer, so that's 3 more. And I have a necklace that is worth 2 points that also doesn't have a designer. And you're going to add up all of the different pieces of your elegance from your different items in order to get your final score, plus any points from the contracts that you have, or any servants that give you bonuses. And whoever has the most elegant outfit plus these bonuses will be the winner. Now, in addition to that, there's an option with gossip cards. You can hand these cards out at the beginning of the game, and essentially they're just a way to try and pass off negative points to your opponents. Once per turn, you can pass off one of these cards to your opponents, and you can try and get rid of your cards in order to get rid of the negative points. Each gossip card is worth 1 negative point. And you pass them off to your opponents, trying to make sure that you don't have any left at the end of the game, following rules on the cards. So, for example, this one is I have LL and you don't have LL. So you pass that card off to the person, you make some type of snide comment, and at the end of the game, each one of these cards you have is -1 elegance. Either way, at the end of the game, whoever has the most elegant outfit with all of their bonuses will be the winner, and if there's a tie, it goes to the richest gentleman. Whoo, boy, what to say about this one? Let's start with the theme. And then we'll get into the gameplay. So the theme of the game, ladies and gentlemen, it's fine. You have a group of players. They may not be ladies and gentlemen. One person playing the woman, the other person playing the man, with different roles and different things to do in the game. That's all great and well. But I found a real problem when I was trying to sit down with some of my female friends and family members of getting them to play, or at least getting them to accept the gender roles as they're portrayed in the game. The females, they go do their shopping, and that's fine. I don't think there's any issue with the idea of women trying to look nice for a ball. You know, dependent on the area, it's thematically appropriate. The fact that they're going shopping while the men are doing the investing was perfectly fine. The real issue came in when the women heard that at a specific point, the men got to make all of the decision about what was being bought. The finances were passed over to the man. The woman had no say, and technically are not even allowed to talk about the decision being made with the man. So the man has all of the decision as to whether or not an item that the woman has picked out is worth it, and I think that kind of angered my women friends and family, and they didn't really want to play the game, but I got them to play anyway. We got past that, but I think there's a real issue there when you tie that whole one player makes all of the decisions in with the fact that there's gender roles in the game, whether or not those genders are being played by the specific genders that are being portrayed as well. So I think they made a poor decision in the theming there, or at least in the way the mechanic works of allowing the men to make all of the decision and completely excluding the women, at least in terms of the way that people generally accept gender roles and look at genders this day and age. But aside from that, we got past it and we played the game. And I have to say we didn't really enjoy the game either, which kind of compounded the whole issue. So the game, while it does have some interesting concepts of each player doing a specific thing, when you get up to a large number of players, it's not really feasible to have a bunch of people sorting through tokens and flipping them over as fast as possible, trying to get all the tokens that they need and then selling them to the market. While at the same time, the other side is trying to all coordinate putting cards out and searching through cards, and it's just kind of a jumbly mess. In addition to that, the rules are all written kind of poorly, and it doesn't really clarify very well as to whether cards are removed from the boutiques as they're searched through it between each round. So you end up with a whole pile of cards that doesn't really make much sense. You can search through these cards, stockpile them for later, wait until you have the appropriate money so as to not carry them over. And I think it would probably play better if you cleared out the boutiques between each round. On top of that, it's just not really all that exciting. You're trying to put together an outfit. It's really not that difficult to get the items you need. If you're managing things well, you can pretty much plan it all out relatively easily, and there's not a whole lot of challenge as far as I was concerned in the game. So with all of that together, I can't honestly say that Ladies and Gentlemen is a game I can really suggest to anybody out there. It's certainly not going to be staying in my collection. If there were a game that I were ever going to destroy or trash, this would probably be the one, just because there was so much hatred for it between all of the people in my gaming group and family. So with all of that said, not a game I can recommend, not a theme I can recommend, and I think they probably made a mistake by combining the two.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.